What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the video. So today we're going to do a little camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now when it comes to photography, I mainly shoot landscape and nature photography. So those are the type of shots that we're going to be looking at today. Now there are a lot of different ways that we could compare these two phones to each other. And in this video, I'm not going to do like an exhaustive comparison or anything like that. So what we're going to do for this video is basically just allow the phones to do most of the work here. So what I'm going to do here today is shoot everything in JPEG. We'll then take a look at the images side by side in Adobe Lightroom and then see what kind of results we get. Also, if there are other types of comparisons that you want to see between these two phones, just leave a comment down below and I will consider your idea and maybe make a video for you. Alright, so here we are inside of Adobe Lightroom, and let's go ahead and take a closer look at these shots. Now before we do that though, I do want to point something out here. So these are both Samsung files, and we have a 12 megapixel file here on the left, 50 megapixel file there on the right. And when we look at images globally like this, you're not going to see a huge difference in terms of detail. I mean, yes, you can see differences in terms of the colors and contrast, things like that. But each image here is only taking up around 4.5 megapixels of area on my computer monitor. So when you're looking at a 12 megapixel image and a 50 megapixel image, both at only 4.5 megapixels each, you're just not going to see, the actual detail in the files. So what I like to do with these kind of comparisons is just zoom into 100%, and that way we have a 1-to-1 pixel ratio between the images and the computer monitor. So just want to point that out. Let's go ahead, we'll jump into the first comparison here. And these are both 12 megapixel files shot with the 5x lenses. And with the Samsung, with the 5x lens, you can shoot it at 12 megapixels or 50 megapixels. With the iPhone, you're limited to just 12 megapixels. And what I'm noticing here on this first shot is the Samsung looks a little bit cooler, and the iPhone looks a little bit warmer in terms of the color and the white balance there. And there's a little bit difference in the shadows here, just because the clouds were rolling by and the light was changing constantly there. Let's go ahead, we'll zoom into 100%. We'll bring these over a little bit closer to each other. We'll just kind of take a look at some of this detail. And to me it looks like the Samsung is maybe slightly sharper here, looking at some of these rocks and then the trees up here versus like over here on the iPhone shot. And actually, I'll zoom into actually 200% here. It might be a little easier to see on the YouTube video. You can see, just a bit more detail. It's not by a huge margin there. But I will say that the Samsung looks a little bit better in my opinion there. And look at the 50 megapixel image versus the 12 megapixel image. And you can see that huge resolution difference now when we look at the images at 100%. And to me, actually, the 50 megapixel image here, to me it looks a little bit like over sharpened. Doesn't really look the best in my opinion. Now I am kind of used to shooting with more professional level cameras, so I'm definitely a little bit biased there, but that's kind of what I noticed. Alright, let's move on to the next shot. So this was also shot at with the 5x lens. Now to me, the sky here on the iPhone looks a little better than this particular shot. It's just the blue looks a little bit nicer to me, and on the Samsung it looks a little bit blown out. Yeah, but other than that, there's not a huge difference here in my opinion. Let's go ahead and look at 100%. Bring these over. Now what I'm noticing here is in these areas that are kind of lit up, the Samsung to me looks nicer. It looks a little bit crisper, a little bit sharper than the iPhone. But when we look down here at the shadowy areas, now the iPhone to me looks a lot better. I think maybe the Samsung is applying a bit more noise reduction here in the shadows. It's causing it to look kind of smudgy. So that's kind of interesting. I'll zoom into 200% here as well. And you can kind of just notice a huge difference in these shadowy areas. And again, when we look at the areas that are lit up, the Samsung to me actually looks slightly better. Alright, let's go ahead, we'll move on to the next image. So these next shots were shot with the 1x lenses. Now with the Samsung, you can shoot the 1x lens at 12 megapixels, 50 megapixels, or 200 megapixels in JPEG. And with the iPhone, you can shoot it at 12 megapixels or 24 megapixels in JPEG. If you're shooting RAW, you can also shoot 48 megapixels, I believe, with the iPhone. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at these shots. So these are both shot at 12 megapixels. And what I'm noticing right away is this color difference between the two files. So the iPhone, the sky in the iPhone shot looks more blue, it's more saturated. But other than that, not a huge difference. Yeah, they're a little bit warmer as well on the Samsung file versus the iPhone file. Let's go ahead, we'll look at 100%. Just kind of take a look at the detail. And there's really not a huge detail difference that I'm noticing. I'd say maybe the Samsung looks slightly sharper, but it's really splitting hairs there. They both look pretty sharp in my opinion. Alright, let's look at a 50 megapixel image versus a 24 megapixel image now. And look at the detail. And they both honestly kind of look over sharpened here, but there's not a huge difference. I mean, obviously there is a resolution difference, but they both look kind of over sharpened, which is pretty normal for phone images. But I can't really say that one necessarily looks better than the other here. And let's also look at the 200 megapixel image of the Samsung versus the 24 megapixel image of the iPhone there. And you can see all that 200 megapixel resolution, but in my opinion this doesn't really look that great. Just the detail kind of gets lost. I mean, it's over sharpened. I personally wouldn't use these 200 megapixel files. Alright, let's go ahead, we'll move on to this next shot here. And on a global level, I can see a bit more contrast here on the iPhone shot. Although I will say I kind of like the color a little bit better on the Samsung, at least for this shot. But let's go ahead, we'll move into 100%, take a look. And what I'm noticing here is kind of similar to what we saw in one of those other 5x shots. So I'm seeing a little bit more detail, a little bit more sharpness here on the Samsung where things are lit up. But then in the shadowy areas, things start kind of falling apart there compared to the iPhone. Let me just pull these in a little closer. You can kind of just see a pretty big difference. We'll go into 200% as well. You know, there's definitely a big difference there in the shadowy areas. Let's go back to 100%. You know, even in these shadowy areas here as well. So I really think the Samsung is just a bit too heavy-handed with that noise reduction. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next image. Now these were shot with the 10x digital zoom, and you can definitely see a color difference between the two files where the iPhone looks a lot cooler and the Samsung looks a lot warmer in comparison. But let's go ahead, we'll zoom into 100% here. Take a look at the detail. And the Samsung definitely looks more detailed than the iPhone shot. But I will say both files look kind of pretty over sharpened when we're shooting at 10x. I wouldn't say either one looks really that great, but in comparison I will say that the Samsung looks a little better than the iPhone. Alright, let's go ahead, we'll move on to this next shot. So this was shot with the 1x cameras, and we have our 12 megapixel files here, and definitely noticing that sky difference again on the iPhone versus the Samsung. A little bit of a color difference as well. Let's go ahead, we'll zoom in, let's take a look at the detail, and again, just like the previous 1x shot, you know, really no big detail difference there. And go ahead and look at a 50 megapixel shot versus a 24 megapixel shot. Take a look at the detail here as well. And it's pretty much similar story to the previous 1x shot. You know, they both have a lot of detail, although it's, you know, they both look a bit over sharpened, but you know, not a huge difference there. And I do have a 200 megapixel image as well with the Samsung that we'll look at. And you know, I don't know, just not a huge fan of these 200 megapixel files. They just don't really look that great in my opinion. But all right, let's go ahead, we'll look at the next shot. This is another 5x shot. Kind of look here, some of this detail in here, and the Samsung is a bit sharper here. Kind of looking at some different areas. Just make out a little bit more detail with the Samsung. If you look at kind of this rocky area, I'll just zoom into 200%. This rocky area here versus over here, you see it looks a little sharper there on the Samsung. Alright, now let's look at this shot here. So this one was with the ultra wide lenses, so was it like 0.6 or something like that. Just wanted to give an example of using that lens as well, and you can definitely see a color difference between the two files. And we'll look at 100%. And I would say the iPhone looks a little bit sharper here in the back there. So this is where I focus right in here for both shots. And I'll say that the iPhone looks a little bit better to me overall, in terms of detail at least. So let me know in the comments below what you think about these results. And also let me know if there's some other types of comparisons you want to see between these two phones. But anyways, that's it for now. I'll see you guys on the next one.